Welcome back. In the previous class, we have observed that whenever we have non-periodic signals, at that time, using Fourier transform, one can convert time domain function into frequency domain, and main motivation of doing this for this particular course is to generalize the phasor technique to non-periodic function. So since we have explored a lot about the phasor technique, so till now what we have observed that if I have sinusoidal input to any linear system, then I can apply the phasor technique. If I have periodic non-sinusoidal, then using Fourier series representation, again I can apply the phasor technique to analyze the steady state response of the linear network or electrical linear network. And now in today's class, we are going to see that using Fourier transform, one can do one more step of generalization, that if I have some signal and suppose that signal is non-periodic, and suppose that Fourier transform exists, so non-periodic signal, and suppose I have some these kind of signal in time domain, then by applying Fourier transform, I can convert same kind of things in frequency domain, and after doing this, I get the benefit that now it is possible to apply here the phasor technique. So I can apply phasor technique, and due to this reason I have given lot of time when I was discussed about the phasor. So what we have observed that at least 4 possible different way I can convert time domain signal to frequency domain. So first one is phasor, second one is Laplace one, third one is Fourier series, and now I have Fourier transform. And at each and every time I have different motivation, and different class of time domain signal can be handled by the different transformation. Due to that reason, we have to learn different kind of transformation. So therefore we apply Fourier transform to the circuit with non-sinusoidal excitation in exactly the same way we apply the phasor techniques to the circuit with sinusoidal excitation, because now I have frequency domain representation. So it is possible to show, but since we have already discussed at several times, so now I am not going to prove a statement, just I am going to write the main results. And what is result? That since we are telling that all techniques are valid in this particular frequency domain after applying the Fourier transform, so Ohm's law can be written in frequency domain by V omega equal to Z omega and I omega, and we will see the one property. Just I will discuss one property of the Fourier transform, and using that property it is possible to show that why I am telling that almost all possible law is also applicable here. And in this particular Ohm's law, here I have where V omega and I omega are the Fourier transform of the voltage and current and Z omega is the impedance. And what we are telling that this law is applicable for capacitor, inductor, resistor in same way. So now I can able to do the all law using just some kind of algebraic equation, and this is the beauty of the frequency domain. So let us try to see that why same kind of law is also applicable for capacitor and inductor. So I am going to select just one property. Same like Laplace transform, if you see the literature for Fourier transform also we have almost all property parallel to the Laplace transform, and it is very easy to drive all the property, but that is not the main motivation of this course. Due to that reason I have just selected this part, because during Laplace transform I have discussed almost all property. So now let us see that suppose I have some signal, and here I have this signal in time domain, and this is this operator, because in last class I have defined this as a operator, that is Fourier operator. So it is possible to convert time domain signal into frequency domain, and if I will take the differentiation of this signal, so here I am defining f dash t, that is nothing but dft by dt, then it is possible to show that the Fourier transform of the df by dt, that is j omega f omega, and where j is the complex number like this. And by direct application of differentiation, the direct application of the Fourier transform, it is possible to see this relation. And from the definition of inverse Fourier transform, we know that I can represent inverse Fourier transform like this. So this kind of things we have already learned during the previous class, and now I am going to take differentiation on the both hand side, right hand side as well as left hand side. And if you take the differentiation, then it is possible to show that this is pretty easy, because if I will differentiate this, then j omega will come like this, because I am taking derivative with respect to t. So here just this function is time varying, all other function is constant. Due to that reason this term comes into picture, and after that I can again I am able to recover same kind of things. So f inverse f omega, due to that reason finally I have conclude this Fourier transform of f dash equal to j omega f omega. And if you see the Laplace, if you remember the course of Laplace transform, at that time we have similar kind of result. So almost, because I have already told you that if you just put the real part equal to 0, then I am able to recover the Fourier transform. Due to that reason also, this result is obvious. Now what we have observed during the Laplace transform, that in in the due to this property, due to this differential property, I have some kind of relation for resistor, capacitor, and after that inductor for time domain as well as frequency domain. So in order to apply the phasor analysis, I always need the equivalence, and this equivalence is very valid due to the previous property. So suppose that in time domain I have, and after that I have frequency domain or phasor domain, whatever you can tell. So frequency domain is more common, because now just I am not using phasor to transform signal from time domain to frequency domain. So I am going to talk about the generalization. And now you can see that resistor remains the resistor, so same kind of thing is going to true here. After that I have two more component, that is capacitor and inductor. So inductor is now going to change like j omega L, and if you remember the Laplace transform, at that time we are writing S into L, and basically we are writing S and L frequency whenever we are writing in terms of the Laplace transform. So for time being, let us forget about this. So concentrate on the Fourier transform. So but basically we are telling that this is j omega L, and after that whatever C, that is going to convert like this 1 by j omega C. So again during this transformation you can see that initial condition is not going to capture, we are not unable to capture the initial condition. Due to that reason we are telling that whatever analysis, means Fourier analysis, whatever we are going to do, that is only applicable for the steady state response. Means using this conversion we are not able to talk about the complete response, but in case of Laplace transform we are able to talk about the complete response. And after doing this kind of transformation, now whatever standard techniques we have learned for the phasor analysis, means source transformation, mesh analysis, node analysis, Thevenin's theorem, almost everything are valid. And after deriving the expression, again you have to convert from frequency domain to time domain. So for that you have to take the inverse Fourier transform. So let us try to see the generalized output response of the circuit. And here I have already told you that whatever circuit I am going to consider now, that is again the linear circuit. So output today, now I am going to talk about the output response of the circuit. So let us try to see that what is meaning of the output response. So what I am telling, that let xt be the input response of the circuit. So what basically we are telling that I have some kind of circuit. So let us draw the circuit. So I have basically, this is a linear circuit, and xt be the input response of the circuit, and after that we are telling that ht is the impulse response. So what we are telling, that if I apply some kind of impulse function here, then whatever response I am going to get, that is nothing but the ht. That is the meaning of the impulse response. And linear circuit means here resistor and inductor or capacitor are sitting here. So same kind of things I have written here. Now what I am telling, that in place of the impulse, if I am going to change this impulse by xt, then what is the output? So I'm basically going to talk about the generalized response now. So let us try to see that what basically I'm telling. Now I am going to start with the same linear network as above, and this is our linear circuit, and in place of this, now I am going to apply xt, and I am going to observe the yt, that is the output response, and this is the input response. Now you can see that I know that if I apply impulse signal to the circuit, at that time I am going to get this ht. So somehow if I know that how to represent xt in terms of impulse, then it is possible to guess about the yt. Suppose that if xt is represented in terms some term or some combination of the impulse response, at that time also it is possible to guess about the yt, because I have linear network, so superposition principle is going to valid here, and it is possible to show that any kind of signal can be represented in terms of impulse function. So suppose that if I have to calculate the impulse response of something, then what I will do, suppose I have initially I have delta t. Now I will take the xt. So I have to represent some signal, suppose this is my xt. So in order to represent xt in terms of delta t, but I do not know xt is lying from where to where, so I have minus infinity to plus infinity, and after that suppose I want to represent xt in terms of delta t, then what I will do, I will make a small impulse. So these all are the impulse function, and after that I will do this kind of, this operator is called convolution operator. So this is nothing but convolution. So what we are telling, that basically we will vary this delta t and going to do multiplication, and this multiplication I have to do from minus infinity to plus infinity, and for delta t I have response h. So whole response is basically h lambda multiplied by this signal, because I know the output response of delta t. So by superposition theorem I can able to generate like this. Due to that reason, this particular representation comes into picture. So if you understood this, then now our job is pretty easy. I will take Fourier transform on the both right hand side as well as left hand side, and I am going to assume that the following. I am going to assume that Fourier transform of signal xt is the x omega, ht the impulse response is the h omega, and similarly I am going to assume that yt then impulse response is y omega. And so same kind of things I have written here, and if you will apply the Fourier transform, it is possible to show that convolution is converted into just a multiplication. So here you can see that output is nothing but h omega into x omega, and h omega is the impulse response. So in time domain I have impulse response, and if you remember here, so from this you are also able to see that h omega is the nothing but same like the transfer function whatever we have defined, that is output by the input. So in the previous class I have already defined this by Laplace transform of output by input. Here I am defining in little different way. So here we are telling that the Fourier transform of output by Fourier transform of input. Due to that reason, means we are not telling exactly this h omega as a transfer function, but that is just something like transfer function. So here output in terms of frequency domain, please always remember this. So after, it means that convolution integral, which is looking little bit difficult to calculate, if you apply the Fourier transformation, then things become pretty easy, because just in frequency domain that is equivalent to the multiplication. And in order to show that, I have taken the Fourier transform of this particular signal, and after that I am going to use the property of the integral. And here you can see that I have just rearranged the integral, and after that I am going to substitute this kind of things, and after substituting this, it is possible to show that finally this integral can be represented by product of these two integral, and this is nothing but the Fourier transform of the ht, and this is the Fourier transform of the xt. So same kind of things I have written here. So once you have understood this, means output is h omega x omega. So now from here, for circuit point of view, if you see that now you are perhaps you are able to understand this, that whenever I have some electrical circuit, and in case of electrical circuit, any linear circuit you can take, linear circuit, and most of time I am assuming that I am giving some kind of voltage here, and after that I am going to visualize the current, and that is the output response. Due to that reason, I have written in, if you remember sometime before, I have written that the V omega, which is the Fourier transform of the voltage signal Vt, that is equal to the Z omega, and Z omega is here exactly like behave like H omega, that is called impedance, and after that this is Is. Due to that reason, I am telling that whenever I have any linear circuit, so if you have electrical circuit, then particularly we are talking in terms of voltage and current, but suppose you have general circuit and voltage of any form now, because this particular transformation is able to handle non-periodic signal also. So you have generalization, and after that you are able to talk about the response of circuit. But obviously this is not a complete response, this is just the steady state response. So you have to remember this, that whenever we are talking about the phasor techniques, whenever we are talking about the Fourier series, Fourier transform, every time we are just talking about a steady state response. But whenever we are talking about Laplace transform, at that time we are talking about the complete response of the circuit. That is the difference. Now let us come to the some example based on this, because now at least we are able to understand that main motivation of this part of the lecture to generalize the response of circuit whenever I have input as a some non-periodic signal. So suppose that I have this RC network and I have some kind of non, so here I have taken this, so this is basically this Vt is now no longer periodic, so I am going to apply this kind of circuit, and after that I am going to calculate the V0. So V0, and here I am assuming that I have just interested in a steady state response, so I am not going to consider the complete response, but we are assuming that this circuit is closed from very large time or very long time, and after that I am going to calculate the V0. That is the physical meaning of this. So you have to calculate the Fourier transform of the input, and it is pretty easy to show that the Fourier transform of this is like this, and one of the shortcut method is like this, means if just you can calculate the Laplace transform, and in place of s now you can just substitute j omega, then also it is possible to show that, but not always. Please be careful, because one is able to handle the initial condition, another is not able to handle the initial condition, but most of time you are able to guess that, means whatever calculation you are doing, that is okay or not. And after that transfer function is the Laplace transform, Fourier transform of output by Fourier transform of input, and based on that now I can talk about the next part, and in this way I can calculate the output, and this is in frequency domain, so I have to do the inverse Fourier transform. So in order to do inverse Fourier transform, what I am going to do, first I am going to do the partial fraction. So here I am going to represent the partial fraction. So partial fraction of this can be written like this plus this, and if you see the form of this, so Fourier transform, again in order to calculate the inverse Fourier transform, either you can use the formula or you can use the table means first you can do the Fourier transform, after that you can make one ready-made table, and by reversing the table you try to see what is the time domain response. So in this way I can calculate the steady state response. Since I am just talking about t greater than 0, due to that reason I have added ut here. Now let us try to see the second example, and that is also somehow for the Here I have taken the periodic because in order to do confirmation that is this technique is also applicable for periodic one or not, because this is more generalized, I have told you. So obviously that is applicable for the periodic one also. So in order to verify this, you can go in different route. By the one route that you can do the phasor transformation, and after that you try to verify that same kind of things is going to valid or not. Now so let us start with this particular circuit. So here this is basically again RC circuit, but here I have two different branch. So and I have to calculate the I0t here. So whenever you have to goal is given, that is output and this is the input. So again you can do the same kind of things. So you can calculate the Fourier transform, and after calculating the Fourier transform, now you can just write the I0, and after that you can do the inverse Fourier transform. And Fourier transform of sine function we have already seen in previous class. Cos, for cos we have seen, so it is possible to derive for the sine, and by standard formula. So sometime table will not work, then at that time you have to use the direct formula. So here I have used the direct formula, and if you apply the direct formula, then and after that if you apply the property of the impulse function, then you are able to create this kind of integral, and then I can able to calculate the final response. So in this way you are able to solve the numerical example. So numerical example is not very difficult, because now you are able to understand the method how to solve. So before closing the today's lecture, so that is the main idea of today's lecture, that whenever we have one linear circuit and if I have non-periodic signal, then how to calculate the steady state response. And we have seen that techniques are very standard, so no new result is involved here. Just you have to calculate the Fourier transform, and after that same like whatever definition we have made for the transfer function, same kind of definition one can here able to get, and after that one can able to create the steady state response. So now let us, before closing the this class, because I have already told you that Fourier transform is basically some special case of looking like a special case of Laplace transform. However, if you see our previous lecture, at that time whenever we are doing the Laplace transform, at that time I am just talking about one-sided Laplace transform. In mathematics people are using two-sided Laplace transform, but in engineering literature most of time people are using one-sided Laplace transform. But Fourier transform can be applicable for the all time, even if negative time or positive time you can talk. So sometime whenever delay or these kind of things involved, at that time Fourier transform is able to capture the response in more prominent way. And after that it is possible to show that sometime Laplace transform, because people has done several comparison between Fourier transform and Laplace transform. If you see the literature of mathematics or some kind of literature of circuit theory also, so people are telling people has conclude that Laplace transform is applicable for wide range of function. But if you have to just worry about the steady state response, then people are suggesting that why we will waste our time to see the complete response. So at that time if you want to use the phasor, technique. So at that time one can use the Fourier at that time one can use the Fourier transform. But some function, suppose that if you take some kind of function like t multiplied by ut, so it has Laplace transform, but it is possible to show that it doesn't have the Fourier transform. So due to that reason means several times you have to be careful. And whenever what is another benefit of the Fourier transform, that whenever we are calculating the Fourier transform, at that time we are plotting the amplitude response or phase response. So basically somehow Fourier transform provides a great insight into the frequency characteristic of the signal than the Laplace transform. So if you have to concern about the frequency, suppose that in case of antenna design or in case of the communication system, so at that time people are prefer the frequency domain analysis. So with these remark, I am going to close the today's lecture. And so somehow now we are moving towards the last unit of this course. So and the next class onward, I am going to discuss about that. And I hope that within 2 to 3 class now I will close this course. So with these remarks, I am going to close the today's class. Thank you very much.